what's supposed to happen is we're supposed to get why is Dave's that's not right. Oh, it's filtering. Sorry, it's supposed to, okay, so let's put all the rows in. So now it's got all 365 rows. Yeah, I wanted to demonstrate creating bins on missing data. Because the idea is you can use bins on missing data to fill in the gaps. Unfortunately, it's not working the way I want it. Tableau, create bins on date. Right click on the date, create custom date. And this is okay. Create custom date. Okay, I'm gonna table that for now, and instead, what I'm gonna do is move into mixing and matching between discrete and continuous date parts, and doing a little bit of level of detail calculations. So this next exercise we're going to do is we're going to do year-over-year comparisons of snow accumulation in a month. We're going to try to answer this question. Which month has had the greatest year-over-year change in snow accumulation? So what we want to do this is we're going to use a Spark graph by month. So we're going to have January, February, March, so on as individual columns. Then we'll have the year as a continuous value. So this would be like 1980 all the way to 2023 and so on. And we're going to have some graph that looks like this, and then some graph that looks like this, and some graph that looks like that. And this is going to be change in, or this is going to be net accumulation within month. So what do we need? We're going to need the snow at the beginning of the month. We're going to need the snow height at the end of the month, and we're going to need. So we'll leave the min and but we'll cheat and use the min and the max for now. So we need the min amount of snow, the max amount of snow, but that won't get the direction of change because it'll be negative changes for some months. we'll just use the start and the end of the month. So we'll use min date and max date within the month to get the start and end of month, start and end, the first record and the last record in the month. So we need the min date in month and year, and the max date in month.
The median or something.
Yeah, we will. That's I'll show you in a second. And year, an if statement to determine determine which record, and then we need a difference to get change from start to end. So the idea is, for example, in January of a single year, the snow will start at some value and go upwards and end at some value, and we're going to measure this change. And then likewise in, say, June, the snow's at some high value and decreasing quickly, and we're going to measure that change as well. So we have to figure out these start and end dates because we might have missing observations. We're not guaranteed January 1st and January 30th are the start and the end of the month. And then we're going to have to do a little bit of calculated field magic. So I'm going to delete this for now. And the first thing I want to do is just sort of lay out what we want to do. So we're going to make a spark graph. So I can lay out this pretty quickly. I can put in the month of the observed cumulative right here. And I'm going to say, you know what? I want the month by itself. So this bit here, this is date truncation. This is the same as date truncate. This is date part. So this will truncate to the beginning of May 2015. This will just grab the word May. That's it, right? That's all it's doing. It's just grabbing the word May, or June or July. So I'm gonna say, yeah, make that May. And then inside of there, I wanna treat years as continuous. And it did, right? So it's got years as continuous in there. And the only other thing I want to do is I want to disaggregate by station. So now I've got some stations. And then, you know, a quick quality check is I could just put a record count in there. So I could just say record counts. And you can see that some years we had some dropouts of records. And this is truncated to the year and treated continuously. That's perfect. All right. Cumulative count, cumulative snow. So these are. So what is this count? This is counting the number of. This should be the number of days of records in a given year and a month, right? So that's what that's counting. But we want to get the change in snow from the start of the month to the end of month. So let's try to work through this a little bit at a time. Create a calculated field. I'm gonna make this nice and big because there's gonna be a lot going on here. Let's see if I can order. And I'm gonna call it change in snow change in month. Snow change in month. And I can't just do the min and the max of the snow because sometimes the snow increases and sometimes the snow decreases. So I define the snow at the beginning and the snow at the end of the month. So, actually, we'll leave this blank for now. To do, find the difference. And I'll just put a 0 in there. Okay. Current date of reference is nothing, so I'm gonna create a calculated field. And what I want to do is within a year and within a month, I want to find the first date and within a station. So start of, oh, that's right. Oh, I can't just truncate to the start of month.
Can you
because
give
that-
the average for min and max for the month, day wise average? for a month?
Not a day-wise average. I want to get the change from January 1st to January 31st. I want to measure the snow height on January 1st, measure the snow height on January 31st, and take the total change in there.
Like average, minimum, or maximum?
Yeah, it's a little more complicated than that, because what happens is over January, it kind of changes around. And what I want to do is I want to take this value here and this value here, but I have to pick out these values out of the data set. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to set all these other values to null, find the min and find the max, and set those out. So, oh yeah, what I can do is boundary, month boundary snow. Month snow on month boundary. And so how this logic is going to work is if this start at earliest day and month, return the snow, at latest day and month, return the snow, and then otherwise return null. So let's just put that in. Here else, and I'm just going to return null. Now, what I want to do is I want to say if the observation date is equal to, and now I need a minimum, right? I need a smallest date. So I'm going to use a level of detail calculation and say fixed. And for now, I'm just going to put in the min for now. If min of observation date. But now I need to figure out what to do this over. Well, I need to use the station for sure, and I'm going to truncate the date to the start of the month. So I'm going to say date truncate to the month, and it's going to be the observation date. And what I want to return is, oops. Oh, no, I want to return the actual, where to go. Accumulate snow offset. Where did my actual value go? Days of cumulative snow. Cumulative snow water equivalent, that's what I want. It's going to return the cumulative snow water equivalent. Now, I need, why is that? Oh, I need it then. And I think I need an end. There we go. So that's fine. Now I need to do the same thing for the end of the month. So I'm going to say the exact same thing. Control C, Control V, but I'm going to make this the max of the date. Actually, no. What I want is snow on month start, and I'm just going to take all this away because I need the direction of difference. So I'm going to say okay, and I'm going to duplicate this, duplicate, and I'm going to take I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to say snow on month end. And this is a max.
Can you repeat this step like the?
All right. So I've got these two calculations. Let's just think through what this one does.
Can you repeat this thing like fixed?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's take a look at what this fix does. So I'm taking the date of the observation, and I'm comparing it to, and let's just move this. I'm going to hit enter to see if I can get a little bit more of this on the screen. Actually, what I'll do it like this. Tab, fixed, and then tab. Okay. So what is this doing? Right? So we've got our current observed date, and we're asking if it's equal to looking over the current station, you know, that matches the record, and looking over the month, right? The month that matches the month of the current record we're looking at. Find the earliest day in the month, right? So we're finding the earliest day in the month that we have an observation. And if we do have an observation, great, report it. Then all we need to do is we just need to make sure that we broadcast the difference between those two observations over everything. So so the next thing I need to do is so that one gets the day of the start of the month, and this one, and let's actually do this as a table, so we can get a sense of what this looks like. So we'll take the station as a column, and we will put in the cumulative. We're going to make this a day. We're going to make it exact. Discrete. That's right. There we go. And I'm going to drop in these two things. Snow on month start as a text, and I'm going to make it, make it a dimension. And snow on month end, we're going to make it a dimension. And we're going to edit the text. I'm just going to say start. And I'm going to delete this. End, apply, and let's go down and look at some. Oh, it's just not wide enough. right, so I'm gonna, so, what is this doing? So it's indicate, oh, and I'll actually put in one more column for the actual snow depth. So we can get a sense of what it's really doing. And we'll edit this, and I'm gonna take this, cancel. I want this to be a dimension as well. And I'm gonna edit this, and I'm gonna call it, C, V space, and I'm gonna call this actual. Okay. So I want you to, I want you to pay careful attention to what's going on here. So this, the actual is the observed depth, right? And you can see the start and the end are saying there's nothing there, nothing there. Only on the last day in the month does it say the end value. And only on the first day of the month does it say the start value. What this means is that I can then say within a month, take the difference between those, if I take the difference between those two values, particularly if I take the difference between the, like the aggregate, the attribute of those two values within the month, and the station, then I'll get an actual change of snow depth between the start and the end. So basically what I have to do is I have to figure out, I have to use a calculated field to take this start value and then broadcast it over all of these and take the end value and broadcast it backwards over all of those. Fortunately, we have a level of detailed calculation to work through again. So I can create a change in snow, which I left all the way at the bottom. And snow change in month, I'm gonna edit this. And I need to find the difference. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna use two fixed level of detail calculations, and I'm gonna take the difference between them. And the first one is snow at the start, and the second one is snow at the end, and they're both gonna be fixed, and they're gonna have station, and they're gonna have the same date truncate, the start of the month, of the observed date as our fixed level of calculation. And finally, because I know I can take any aggregate I want. I could do sum, I could do min, I could do max. I'll just do, for the start, I'll just do both as min. Min of snow at end, snow at end, and snow at start. And now I just do the exact same thing again, but remove the labels. And we do snow on month start. So what this is going to do is it's going to take the difference between that first value. It's going to take the difference between where it ended and where it began, but it's going to apply it to all the records. We say OK. Now I'm going to drop that in as well, so we can see how it runs.
So these both are minimum?
This is the change in snow in a single month from the start of the month of snow, from the start of the season to the end.
Why we took only minimum, sir?
Why what?
We took only minimum for the differences.
Oh, it could have been any aggregate. It could have been average. It could have, there's only one value in that column, right? So in the month, in the column, there's only one value. And I just have to find snow change in month. Here we go. I'm gonna drop this in here. And I'm going to edit this, and call it change, and I can make that a dimension as well. Apply. Okay, and let's make this a dimension. Okay. So let's go back until we can see some ink. Okay, here we go. So we can just do a quick quality check on this. So this is claiming that in 2017 of January, the snow increased by 92 centimeters. So it started at 600. Let's go down to see if it ended at 692. So just scroll down, and 28, 30, there we go. So we can see it started at, well, we don't have the start reported there, but we can see that it ended at 692, so the change was 92, and we can actually see the increments. It was increasing a few centimeters every day until we got 92 centimeters of change. So,
What actual and is the same?
Yes, that's right, because we're taking, so we take the end matches here, right? If we look here, 695 matches the start there, and if we look, we can see the change. That's the change in February was 155 centimeters. So 695 plus 155 is 700, 750, right? Yes, yeah. That is going to be 850. So we scroll down, 850, just like we said, right? So it's 155. So that gives us the change. So I'm going to rename this to year over year. Year over year monthly change. Hard one to. I'm going to just call this one, rename as my debug. Just to make sure I got everything right. So now instead of a count in here, let's take this away. I've got my change in snow, and I can actually just drop that in as so every year and every month. Yeah, okay, that's good. That'll work. So I'm gonna put in my snow change in month, and I'm gonna make it. I can just make it a dimension, and let's make it a line. There we go. So there's a spark graph of our monthly change in snow. And what you can see is that in January, you know, in January we have positive values, right? And there might be a small decreasing trend. It's hard to say. There's a small decreasing trend there. March typically has very large positive values, right? We're accumulating snow. And then you can see in around April and May, we start to lose snow. August and September, we don't have any change in snow. The change in snow is 0. And let's just make this really nice and skinny. And then back in October and November, we can see snow accumulating again. Now, the question is there a trend in here or not? And that's going to be hard to determine. So one of the things we can do is we can, these are all around 100 or 200 or so. So, and then the losses are around 600 or 700. So I can edit the axis frame. Oh, the other thing I can do to help with the formatting is I can rotate these labels. And and I can hide this lake. I can hide the, there we go. So that gives me a little more space to look at, and I can shrink these down a little bit. There we go. And then the final thing I can do is I can, mess around with the axes. I can maybe fix start, maybe make this minus 200 and plus 200. Now some of these will go off the rails. And now we can't see anything, so let's edit the axes again. I think I set these to 500 and 500. This does. So, and maybe we don't care about snow losses, right? We don't care about, we know snow's gonna melt, right? So we're not gonna look at that. Oops. I did it the wrong way. I want 500 up and no. There we go. Okay, so how do we read this? This is, we're taking 1 point per year in January. So we're comparing, this is comparing all the Januaries in our data set. This is comparing all the Februaries in our data set. So if we see a slight, if we see a sort of decreasing trend in here, and maybe there's a decreasing trend in here, what it means is that our January snowfalls are decreasing. And if we see a decreasing trend here, this means our March snowfalls are decreasing. So the total amount of snow falling in March is decreasing. Maybe there's arguably a small upward trend in February, saying there's maybe more snow falling in February, kind of even, it could be decreasing there. The other thing to note is that it's not so much about a center line trend, but more about a trend of the maximums. The extremes are getting lower, right? The Januaries, the extreme snowfalls in January are actually getting smaller. Like we're accumulating less snow in a single month. And certainly the early season, we're seeing that in places the extremes in the early season are getting smaller. So, but the critical part is each one of these graphs is comparing all the Novembers in 1 year, and all the Novembers over all the years to each other, right? So this is the same as doing year-over-year seasonal. Like if you were looking at marketing or finance data, it could be year-over-year seasonal sales, right? Is Christmas time doing better or is Christmas time doing worse, right? Is your summer times getting worse or are your summer times getting better? This is asking, are our winter times getting more snowy or are winter times getting less snowy by comparing year over year to months. And that pretty much brings me to the end of my ambitions for this for today's class. I will figure out how to get bins to work nicely with dates, so that you can do so that you can do what's called densification and fill in blank values that you don't have, which can be very, very useful. Again, I kind of whizzed through those calculations pretty quickly. Part of it is I want to throw a bunch of examples of level of detail calculations at you, so that you can start trying to figure out how they work, because they're critical for doing that in that debug. What I'm trying to demonstrate here is how using the level of detail calculation allows you to figure out what's going on in, for example, a single month at a time, right? So we can figure out what's going on in a single month at a time, grab that data, and do things like, what was our change within a single month? Because the other way to do this is you'd have to export the data to Python, run some Python script to find the snow at the start of the month, snow at the end of the month, and then take the difference. But really, all this complicated stuff is trying to do is just say, let's take the difference between how much snow we had at the end and how much snow we had at the beginning, and that's it. All right. Any questions before I let you go for the long weekend? Other than, when am I going to get your marking done? And that is very soon. Because I don't want to have marking hanging over my head over the long weekend. Any other questions? But it's out of sync. Yeah.